Hey guys, Bipolar Barbie here again, and I know that I've had a really rough week, so if you're following my account, you've seen the other videos, but I am feeling a lot better for this moment. Let's see how long it will last. I've had moments of good, and I've had moments of just complete and utter turmoil, and I am just like rapidly switching or cycling between complete and utter distress and feeling okay. And I kind of had this epiphany, this moment that there are 3 stages to a mental breakdown. And you know, how long each stage kind of takes to progress through really depends on like the length of the episode that you have. Whether it's like an anxiety breakdown that lasts like 5 minutes, whether it's a depressive episode that lasts years, whether it's just your entire mental health journey combined. I think a lot of people get stuck in stage 2. And I think there's a difference between being stuck in stage 2 and, you know, the length that stage 2 kind of goes on for. And I think it's okay sometimes to stay in stage 2 as long as you have the intention of getting to stage 3. And I wanted to tell you how I now, after my years and years of battling this bullshit, deal with each breakdown, with each episode as a whole, and how I now deal with my journey and the amount of years that I've actually gone through this. So stage 1 is actually when you're going through it. Like last night when I had my breakdown and I just cried for like 20 minutes straight, wailing when I was just freaking the hell out. And this stage, I've been through so many times before. And that stage is like when you are actually in the midst of mental distress, when your mental illness is affecting you, and that moment is really, really goddamn intense. And I have learned to let myself sit with that, to let myself experience that, because normally what I would do is push it away and be like, I don't want to be feeling this right now. What the hell is going on? Get rid of it. I shouldn't be feeling this. This is uncomfortable and this is shit, and I don't want to be going through this right now. But I think radical acceptance is a really important sort of coping mechanism when it does come to your mental health journey. What I did last night when I had this full-scale breakdown was I let myself cry. I let myself be a mess on the floor because that is what I needed in that moment. I experienced that anxiety and that pain because I've learned that it will pass. I've learned that sometimes it's better just to kind of give in with it, just to experience it. And at the same time, I really kind of ask myself, what can I do to prevent this from happening right now? And depending on the level of the episode and how intense it is, that can change. If I'm having mild anxiety in that moment, I'll be challenging my thoughts. I'll be taking deep breaths. I'll be dealing with that. But when it kind of goes beyond that point where there is nothing you can really do in that moment, and you've honestly asked yourself that question, then that's when it's super important to just deal with it, to just let it happen. And that's stage 1. And I think you'll find if you can accept that moment, it will be like, it's still hard. It's still the hardest thing you're going to do is endure that amount of pain that no person should have to endure it, that is not humane in any single way. But moving into, I guess, stage 2 kind of is like a natural progression where you kind of wallow in your own self-pity. And I think the trick to recovery is trying to make stage 2 as short as possible, but still allowing yourself to grieve, still allowing yourself to kind of just sit with the magnitude of that kind of situation. To kind of go, well, you know what? That was incredibly shit. But I think, again, accepting yourself and accepting your illness is really, really important in that stage. And reminding yourself that that was just one moment. And it's really hard, I know, to kind of like in that moment, in after each episode, after each breakdown, there is a part of me that just wants to go, oh my God, I cannot believe that I'm going through this again. I thought, I had a little break for a moment, and now I'm back into that place and I will never get better. And this shit is just going to haunt me for an entire lifetime. And I think that can be really traumatic in itself, because when you are seeing no progress, it's so hard to just not look at everything that's happened and have it compound on you, where you're just so overwhelmed with the magnitude of what you've had to experience in your life. And I think it's okay to be overwhelmed by that. For like 6 years of my journey, I was really kind of getting nowhere, or it was like one step forward and like a billion steps back. And that is distressing, and that is hard in itself, and no one will recognize how traumatic that can be, just being sick in the first place. It's like every time it happened, it was like, oh my God, here I go again. But I promise you, if you work your ass off, if you want to get better more than anything in the world, and you research and you find ways to deal with it, and you whether that's taking medication, whether that's going to therapy and learning different types of coping mechanisms, or whether that's exercise, or a healthy diet, or hanging out with friends, or talking about it, or writing about it, painting about it, whatever it is that you need to do to get through that moment and learn how to cope with it eventually. Whether it's 10 years from now, if you have severe mental health issues, 5 years, whatever it might be, you will get to some point where you will experience just enough period of wellness where you will go, wow, everything that I have learned is starting to work, because it's a combination. It's like a puzzle piece, in this grand puzzle. And at some point you will have enough pieces to start to see the bigger picture. And once you get to that stage, it's important to keep reminding yourself and getting to stage 3, where you go, you know what? I'm not going to let this beat me down. I am not going to wallow in my own self-pity about what is going on, because I am only hurting myself if I do that. And what I really want to be doing, which I am pushing myself to do, and it is the hardest thing that I have ever had to do. In a way, it's even harder than enduring an episode, or, having to experience that. And that is that third stage where you commit to your recovery, where you commit to not letting those moments control you, define you, and terrorize you. It is that moment where you go, you know what? Last night, I don't know what the hell was going on, but today is a new day. Those feelings have subsided. That episode, you sleep on it. If it's like a situation distress, or, I've been through that for months, but now I'm admitted to the psych ward, and now I'm getting the help that I need. And, I'm committed to my recovery. I'm committed to getting better. But it's not just about saying that. It's not just about declaring that that is what you want to do. It's about each moment, every single day. Every time I drop a coffee cup and have a complete freak out and get frustrated with myself, I accept that. I clean it up. I deal with it. And then I mourn it and have, think about it for a little bit, and I allow myself to do that. But at some point, when I am ready, I push myself to go, you know what? That happened, and that was really shit. But I am not going to let it ruin my day. I'm not going to let it ruin my month or ruin my year. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my big girl pants on, and I'm going to deal with my shit, and I'm going to push through this. And I'm going to be proud of myself for the fact that I dealt with that, and I am still here today. Rather than dwelling on the fact that it even happened in the first place. I mean, I've been so sick for so long. It's like, you know what? Emotional instability is just my life. That is something that I've had to accept, learning to live with my illness. When my psychiatrists and therapists ask me what I want, I go, you know what? I just want a year of stability, and they laugh at me. They go, someone in your situation is never going to have a year of stability. Let's be realistic. The most you're ever going to have is a month, if that. And they, you know, that seems overwhelming. That seems so shit. That seems inhumane. That just seems like the worst thing that you could possibly ever hear. But I just look at it and go, I don't let it make me feel weak. I go, you know what? I am strong. I am a warrior. I am a goddamn queen, because I'm dealing with this shit like a boss. And if no one else recognizes that, that's sad. But at the end of the day, I know what I've been through. And I know how hard I've worked, and I can be proud of that fact. And I can remind myself that it's okay to break down. It's okay for these things, you know, to happen, because that is just a part of this journey, and that is what radical acceptance is about. But each time it happens, I use it as fuel to fire this determination to go, you know what? I don't want to be defined by that struggle. I want to define myself by the strength it took, the motivation, and how hard I push myself to get through it. I don't want to look back on that breakdown last night and go, oh my God, that was horrific. That was the worst thing that ever happened to me. I'm never going to get better. No, I'm going to look at last night and go, you know what? I survived that shit. And today is a new day. And accept that there's going to be more battles in the future. But just because you lose a battle doesn't mean that you're not going to win the war. And recovery is about getting as many tools in your arsenal that you can to fight this battle. And I have lost so many goddamn battles. I probably lost nearly every single battle that I have gone into. But right now, after years and years of this shit, I feel like ultimately I am winning the war, because I've gotten to a point where the amount of good days or good moments and seconds and minutes is starting to become equal with the bad moments. And what I want, what recovery means to me, is where those good moments outweigh those bad moments. And for so long, it was a complete opposite. It wasn't that it was all bad all the time. It was just that I had this much good in my life, and I just had that much bad. If I had some helium balloons, I would just like be floating up to the sky with how much bad shit there was. But trying to bring those down and pulling it back down, you know, like a tug of war, I think sometimes you've just got to let go of that rope before it strangles you, before it turns into a noose around your neck. And whether you have to crawl to get back to the end of that rope to pull it back, you go, you know what? I'm never going to stop fighting for my sanity. I'm never going to stop fighting for the life that I deserve, that every single person deserves, that you guys deserve. So really let me know what you think of these videos, and let me know your thoughts and how you deal with this, because I think, you know, that's why we need to share our stories, so that there is more information out there. Because when I started this journey, I had no idea what to do, and I had no idea what to turn, because I didn't know anyone that had gone through this. Now I realize that I did know a lot of people that have gone through similar things. Nobody talked about it, so we just didn't know. And the benefit of me sharing my story is the fact that now I know about people that are going through the same thing, and I can help them, and we can go through this together, because people open up to me about it because I'm so open and honest about it. So thank you for listening to my video. If you are having a shit time right now, I want you to know that I'm so goddamn proud of you, and I'm sending so many loves and kisses your way. And I just want to hug every single one of you, because just because.